P-51D Mustang. All V12 liquid-cooled engines. Flying airplane. You've heard lots of radial engines today, all air-cooled. Here goes the big open design in front of the engine. Those were all liquid-cooled V12s. The Bell X-1. That was a little rocket-powered airplane that was the first airplane to achieve a speed greater than the speed of sound in level flight back in 1947 in October. And everybody knows the name Captain Charles Yeager, who was at the controls of the airplane, the Bell X-1, back in 1947, a month before my 5th birthday. But that airplane was the first to break the speed of sound in level flight. That was built by Bell. A year later, it went on to achieve the first airplane to achieve 1,000 miles an hour in level flight. And in 1954, the Bell X-1 hit Mach 2 at 1,600 miles an hour. Look to your left. Here comes the Flight of 5 fighters at the World War II weekend. In case you're wondering why the Warhawk was separated from the rest of the formation, you may remember we had a similar situation with the SNJs flying. All the pilots, highly skilled pilots, capable of flying the formation, but you need to get that check off from a check pilot designated by the FAA to be able to fly demonstration formation flights at an air show. And that fellow just didn't get around to get that card checked off yet. So that's why you're seeing 4 airplanes close together, 1 in trail. But it was used considerably, for 2,300 of them, by the Soviet Air Force. The aircraft would be ferried from its plant in Niagara Falls, New York, to Great Falls, Montana, quite often ferried out there to deliver to the Soviet pilots who would come in and fly them further west, all the way to Russia, after a couple of stops along the way. They were often ferried out there by women who were pilots in the WASP, the WASP, the Women Air Force Service Pilots, who would ferry these combat aircraft from the factories out to line operations to alleviate the workload on the men who were needed to go into combat to fly these airplanes. Here comes the fighter flight once again from the left. Thom Richard in the lead in the P-40 Warhawk. Kingcobra on the left wing. Spitfire Mark 9 on the right wing. And in the slot positions, John Currenti in red nose. Here goes Mark 9 Spitfire actually produced before the Mark 7 and Mark 8 because of simple things like management problems at Supermarine. They're manufactured at Castle Bromwich Aircraft Factory, which was not a Supermarine factory, but it was built under license to Supermarine. One of the most famous squadron commanders in the RAF was Squadron Leader James Archibald Findlay McLaughlin. He was a fighter pilot Had a mid-air collision and crash, and it disabled his left arm, and he was still able to fly. Only one arm, and he was doing one-arm Mac. James Archibald Findon Glocker. About 300 miles an hour. There's a great story about a P-51 pilot, Lieutenant Lewis Curtis, that's C-U-R-D-E-S. Beautiful photo pass by the P-40 Warhawk. The shape of the wings of the Spitfire. I mentioned this story about Lieutenant Curtis, who was the only American pilot to have shot down an enemy German, Italian, and Japanese aircraft, and also he had another flag with his P-51 Mustang, in addition to being an ace, German flag, Italian flag, Japanese flags. He had an American flag on the side of his airplane because, and yes, he wound up marrying the girl. So, got to read about it. Bad Angel, that's the one to check out. And it looks like they've extended the pattern now. I think they're going to be touching down for landing, with the exception of the red nose P-51. John Currenti at the controls, retired full colonel. Thom Richard, Reno Air Race pilot. Pilot for the American Air Power Museum in Farmingdale, New York. Rolling out in the P-40 Warhawk. Right behind, the Supermarine Spitfire. One of the prettiest fighter airplanes ever made. Big Merlin engine sticking out in front of the canopy of the Supermarine Spitfire. Contention will never be settled between which was the more effective fighter in the Battle of Britain. Most people say the Hawk or Hurricane, and others say it was, of course, the incomparable Supermarine Spitfire. Kingcobra P-63 touching down, operated by the Dixie Wing. The commemorative Air Force, based out of Peachtree City, Georgia. He mentioned about Tom Richard flying the T-40 Warhawk. He's also a Reno Air Race pilot. He's had some bad luck with the P-51 Mustang, highly modified P-51 Mustang that he's attempted to race there 2 years now. It's got a little bit bigger Merlin engine. It's not a Merlin, it's called a Griffin. Rolls-Royce V12 engine. Instead of the typical 1600 horsepower, this one develops about 2400 horsepower and has two contra-rotating propellers out in front of it. It's called Precious Metal, and we hope this year that Thom Richard is able to get Precious Metal flying again, completely finished, ready to go.